So welcome to the monthly Peaceful Productivity session. And as always, I've got wonderful guests with me. And this time it's Sandy Patterson. And I'm super, super excited because Sandy and I have been chatting quite a bit on her amazing podcast in the background. I think we just really connected. And so I'm really glad to have you here, Sandy.
Oh, I am so excited to be here, Anne. And like you said, I was just telling you before you hit record, I was like, that podcast recording that we did was one of my favorite ones that I've ever recorded. I just felt so good afterwards. And it got so many downloads. People really, really loved it. It got a really, really great response. So we'll definitely have to connect again and get some more of that goodness going. But I'm really excited to be here. And thank you for having me here today.
No, absolutely, my pleasure. I think, I'm very curious about what you're going to share because, like I said, we connected a while ago. I kept, I follow you on Instagram. I love your colors. I mean, that was the first thing that popped out for me when I found you on the internet. I can't even remember how, but just found you on the internet and really felt like, I love the energy. I love the vibe. So yeah, that's exactly how I feel we connected and we have a lot of alignment going on. So yeah, I was to have you. I'm going to talk about business mindset, which I think is incredibly important. I don't know, what do we do without mindset? I mean, this can be a conversation we can have for 10 hours or 10 days.
Right. I know. And I think it's so important because I'm a life and business coach. So I work with a lot of women who are in the beginning phases of their business. And this was something that I kind of had to learn the hard way too. I think when we go into business and we start a business, a lot of us think that it's like, okay, give me the checklist, tell me what to do. I'll go down the list. I'll check all the boxes. And then we very quickly find out that it's the mindset piece. It's the belief piece. So when we say mindset, it's really just means your beliefs, like what you believe about yourself, what you believe about your capacities, what you believe is possible and that you can create. And so we very quickly realize that if that mindset is not in place and it's not solid, that nothing else is going to work. Like we can do all the things but if your mind isn't right, if your beliefs are not right, it's just simply not going to work. And it's also not going to be very fun. And it's also going to be a lot more difficult and take a lot more time and be a lot harder than it is when your mindset is like, and this is work. I talk about it like going to the gym, right? Like you don't go to the gym, like you go to the gym consistently. You don't go to the gym one time and see the results that you're looking for. It's like you got to keep going, you got to keep practicing, you got to keep working on it. And that's the same with your mindset too. So,
and sometimes are really good. Like some days you go to the gym and you really rock that workout and you're like, I don't know, you put on more weights and you're like, oh, this is amazing. And other days you go there and you're like, oh gosh, this is like horrible. And I feel like this is the same with the mindset work. Some days you really feel like on top of it, like, yeah, I've done like, I don't know, like when you work on your mindset, and I'm sure you're going to share some tips, like integrating it and you feel like, yeah, this is great. And then the next thing comes around the corner and you're like falling back into old mindsets and beliefs and like, okay, that was not the best day. So yeah, like the gym.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think it's really about giving ourselves grace in this area too, because our brains really are hardwired to be negative and to find the danger, find the negative things, like find the scary things, because scary things in caveman days meant death, right? So we're constantly scanning and we constantly hold on to those things. And so it's work, but it's so worth it, right? It is so worth it once you can kind of neutralize these thoughts and then choose your thoughts, choose how you essentially then choose your results and choose how your days feel and how they go. And that in itself is worth it, right?
Absolutely. And I always think like, I became a mom before I became a business owner, but I think both of these areas in life, there is so much inner work that we do, and that brings out these things in us that we hadn't got an idea about, really, that were just really under the surface. And I think a lot of us never looked at it, but motherhood brought a lot of stuff for me out. And then again, entrepreneurship was like, oh my God,
yes,
journey.
Yes. Oh, I agree 100% about the motherhood and also about business. I think when you sign on for both of these things, right? Business, parenthood, I think you're signing on essentially for this like immense, intense, ongoing like personal development, right? Like you're constantly, and things that you constantly don't want in your face are in your face, and you have to like just look at them and deal with them, or you're stuck. And yeah, I think business is a lot like I talk about business and parenting. They're the same. They're a lot of things are the same. A lot of
Crossover.
and actually,
Yeah.
as I was thinking about, because I know our topic today is 3 mindset shifts that will change your business. As I was kind of going through this and thinking about this and the things that have really helped me and have helped my clients, I was like, I think I'm like looking at this list and I was like, could these things be used in other areas of our life? And I'm looking at them, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, they could, in all other areas, in parenting and relationships and friendships. Your mindset affects so many different areas of it affects all of the areas in your life. So I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's dive right into. I mean, what would you say are your top 3? Are they like personal to you, or are they top 3 that you've experienced with clients, or
That's a good
curious
question.
about?
It's kind of a little of both. As I was going through this, and I could make a list of 100 things and we could go over 100 things, but these are just the 3 that kind of came to me, and I'm just trusting that somebody needs to hear this. These are the ones for today. And these are all things that I have experienced or am experiencing. And they're also things that I'm currently working with clients through, because again, like I think oftentimes we think that we're the only one, right? Like when we're in our own heads all day. We don't like, there's so much stuff going on in our heads. And so we think, oh my gosh, I must be the only one feeling these ways. But then when you start to open up this conversation and you realize like, wait a second, I'm not actually the only one. There's a lot of power in kind of normalizing these thoughts and then also choosing what your thoughts are moving forward. So I'm excited to share. So the first one, and I hear this a lot, and you have heard this one too, or maybe you felt like this too, Anne. I know I felt like this in the beginning phases of my business, is that moment when you look around and it feels like nothing's working. Like you look around and you're like, nothing in my business is working. And I see on social media, I see on Instagram, I see everybody else seems to have it figured out. And what is wrong with me because I can't seem to figure this out? Did you ever feel like that in the beginning?
Oh, yes. A lot of times, definitely. I mean, when you start out, most of us probably don't have a clue unless unless you're very lucky and it's just been laid out for you, I believe. But
Right.
I mean, I totally got into entrepreneurship without even wanting to be an entrepreneur, because for me, it was COVID and I had lost my job and I needed to make some money somehow.
Yeah.
And I have no idea. Like back then I started as a VA, as a virtual assistant. I had never heard about it before. Like, okay, what am I doing here? So yeah, totally. And even down the line, I mean, now it's been a few years, so it's not beginning phases anymore. But again, as you get to the next level, it's again like, oh, all these people are doing all these amazing things, and I'm trying, and this didn't work, and that didn't work. I totally relate to that so much.
And I still feel this too sometimes. Like we're hardwired to compare ourselves to other people. So the little tiny shift here, and I love talking about this, is just looking at your business and the things that you're doing in your business as seed planting, as planting a garden, right? Like when we plant a garden, we don't plant a seed one day in the soil and then come out the next day and see this beautiful like fruit tree or garden or flowers and this beautiful thing that we have envisioned, right? Our business is this beautiful thing that we are striving for, that we vision, that we look down the path and go, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. This is the impact that I want to make. And unfortunately, I think we get a lot of times in the beginning, we do a lot of things, and even in the later stages of businesses as well, we do a lot of things that don't produce anything. Like it's not producing money in the bank account. It's not producing any new clients. It's not producing essentially the fruit that we're looking for, right? Yeah. So if we can look at this instead of, shoot, it's not working, like looking at it as planting a garden. And when we plant that garden, we plant the seeds, we tend to it, we nurture it, we make sure it's getting water, we make sure it's getting light, and then we wait patiently and trust in the process, right? We trust that the things that we're doing and showing up consistently and doing these things that maybe are not showing us the results that we want right away, we trust that it is working and that eventually there's going to be that little sprout there. It doesn't happen overnight. Like, it doesn't just, it's not like it's there. It's like it's cultivated. And that tiny little shift, I think, has been a really big game changer for so many of my clients, because it takes out this idea of like, it's not working. Because no, it actually is working. It's working. You just can't see it yet. It's working underground, and your intentions are in the right spot, and you're doing the things. Like, you're doing, I don't like to say the right things, but you're doing the things to move the needle forward. And now we just trust that that is going to produce. Yeah. And the other part of this too is finding evidence of where in fact it is working for you so far, because there are things happening, whether they're the things that you anticipated or wanted to happen, things are happening, but we just have to find the evidence that it is.
And then what I always tell my clients is celebrate the crap out of this evidence, so that you really savor these moments and that you memorize them. Because I think what often happens is we move on to the next thing and the next thing, and we forget down the line that we've done these things and that we had these wins and that we, that we achieved something, even if they maybe were just tiny, but we forget or we brush them off. It's like, maybe it wasn't the outcome that we were hoping for. It was just maybe something different or smaller or whatever. But celebrate them, like, yay.
Yes. Oh yes, I love this. This is why we resonate so much with each other. I start every coaching call off, I'm like, all right, girl, tell me your wins. Like, tell me what we are celebrating. And I even tell my clients this too. I go, because your brain is actually going to try to hide your progress from you. Like, it does that on purpose. So you almost have to go on like this egg hunt in your day and be like, what went well? What progress did I make? What happened that I'm really proud of myself for? Because, and again, your brain is just doing that because it wants to keep you in the same spot. And when we progress, we're essentially stretching the capacity, expanding and growing, evolving, right? And that's a really exciting thing. So yes, celebrate everything, find the evidence. And I even tell my clients, I'm like, you have to like journal on this. Like, you have to like put a journal by your bed and just jot down at the end of the day everything that you did, big and small, that you're really, really proud of. And then when you have those moments when you're like, oh, nothing's working,
go back to
it. Yeah. And it's tangible, it's there,
Yeah. I mean, even little things like keeping all sorts of positive reviews or messages, like take a screenshot, even if you're not necessarily publishing them, but like have them somewhere in a folder where you can go back and be like, oh yeah, give me some love, give me some, some positivity, because it's like that. Like, yeah, I mean, just today, I had a call actually from a magazine, a local magazine. They wanted to do an interview with me, and I was like, oh, where does this come from? I've been kind of quiet on social media. I haven't really been putting myself out there a lot because there's just been a lot of stuff going on in the background. But for me, that was, again, similar to what you said, the reminder that things take time. I mean, these ladies from that magazine had probably seen me a while ago when I was more active, when I was more out there. And that happened in my business a few times when you're like in that belief, oh, it's not working. I'm doing all the things. I'm hosting a summit. I'm podcasting, whatever it is. And you don't get immediate response. But then somehow 6 months, 8 months, 12 months down the line, somehow they come creeping out from the woods. And you're like, where does this come from? And then you're connecting the dots and you're like, oh, they have seen me do this. And because I've been doing that consistently, now this is happening. But it's not easy. It's really not easy to connect in those moments, because we get stuck in, oh, it's not working, I need to stop, or I need to move on to the next thing because X is not working, I'm going to do Y instead. And
yes, and I think that we also too excuse me, we live in a very what's the word? Like the society that we live in is very instant. Like we want the instant gratification. Like we can order something on Amazon and it's here. Well, I don't know about where you live. Can you order stuff on Amazon?
No, we cannot. And I love it that we cannot. I love
Oh,
it. We have to wait weeks and months. And
okay, so you're used to waiting. But like over here, like my son the other day, he ordered a jersey and he saved his money up, orders the jersey online, but it's not from Amazon. It's from some other website, whatever. And it's, 5 days passed and he's like, Mom, where is it? Like, it's not here yet. I'm like, it's only been 5 days. Like, give it some time. Like, it's okay. But I think that's what makes it difficult is we think something and we want it right away. Like we want it right now. And business forces you to kind of use your patience. Like I used to tell my boys, like, use your patience, like take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. It's coming. It's on the way. And we trust that it's on the way. So,
trust, exactly. And trust is something I think that we need to practice and learn. It's not something that we have, not a lot of us have automatically. I think it's very much an underrated skill. So yeah.
It is. Oh my gosh, we could go on just a tangent just on that. That's so good. I love that little gem. I'm going to take that with me. Okay. So number two, and you might have felt this one too. I know I sure did when my clients begin in their business to start that marketing piece, selling their offer, selling what they do, is this idea that you have to audition to get people to come work with you. So like this idea that you have to put on this show and you have to be someone, excuse me, you have to be someone that maybe you see someone else being successful, so you're going to be like her, or just this idea of like auditioning, right? Have you ever felt that?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, this is like, it really resonates with me. This is the whole thing of like me going on social media, like videos. I used to be scared of videos so badly, so I practice and I train myself and overcome the fear. I still don't like it, but like a conversation like that, happy to do it. Even if I have a few more people on, like this intimate room of having a conversation, I can do. If it's just me, already a level up of like scared and not that comfortable, but okay. But let me go alone, like on a, I don't know, Instagram story and talk. I would watch my face, or like, oh, but you're not very smiley. And I don't like my smile in general anyway. So I'll be like, you look so serious. And my husband calls it my German face. So it's just a German face. I would literally be like, oh my God, can you just be a bit more happy? And I'm happy, but it's just like, I don't feel my voice is like generally very happy when I just talk to myself on the oh, exactly. Okay. So I would try to go high pitched and be like, hey, and that's not really me.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, your smile is beautiful. So I'm just going to throw that out there. It's this idea though, like, so, okay. So let me come at this from a different way. So if we feel like we're having to be somebody that we're not, or we feel like we have to perform almost in order to get people to come into our space or get people to like us, what if we came at it, if we believed that the people that were watching or the people that were waiting for us already loved us, almost as if we were talking to our best friend, right? So like if you pick up your FaceTime and you're FaceTiming your best friend, we're talking about Instagram stories, right? You would talk to her as you would talk to her because you just, as you are. That is such a different energy to come to present yourself and to present your business, to present your offer from this energy of auditioning and trying to be someone. So I guess if we dig even deeper, it becomes, let's just get really comfortable with who we are and know that who we are is exactly what our people need. And there's no way, I think a lot of times too, we think like, well, what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if I don't say the right thing? Or what if it comes out, the wrong way? Just using the words right and wrong imply that there is a right and wrong. What if there is no wrong way to say or do anything?
Exactly.
That's a game changer.
Exactly. And yeah, I love that you said that with like speaking to your best friend. I remember those days when it was like you go on Instagram, no one watched, and you're like, what the heck am I doing here? It's not working. Going back to the first one. But then there's always those few people that, when you build your community, you know them. Like, you've seen their faces, they show up. And I had two ladies like that. They would always watch my things. They would always, like it. They would always comment. And I would go on and do those things for those two ladies. I would think of them and be like, they are going to watch it and they like it. So it's okay. Even if I don't like myself, you don't have to watch it yourself. But they will like it. Like, I don't watch my stuff back. I don't even listen to the things I say, just because I'll be quite self-critical. I'll be honest. I've got my, self-esteem work that I'm constantly doing, because before business, I used to be just very quiet and not, imposing myself. And it's something that I had to work on, because it's been a limiting belief. It's really been that, like, I wouldn't go out. I wouldn't sell my services and products, because I would be like, no, it's not going to look good, and you're not going to say the right thing, that kind of thing. But that's not how you can grow your business, especially not when you have an online business. So.
And it's also simply not true. Like, these thoughts that we have, they're not true. Like, just because you think it does not make it true. Like, it doesn't, no. And you don't have to give it meaning. And it's funny what you said too about, like, the two women that come into your space and they love what you have, and you kind of just get on with that mindset of like, oh, I'm sharing this with, Susie and Joanna, or whoever, like, whatever their names are. Like, they love me, they already want me. But what if we're talking to everybody as if they love us? And just know that if they don't, then they don't have to follow along. Like, it doesn't change anything about you as a person. It doesn't change anything about your business or what you're doing. It's just, you weren't the right match. And that's okay. Being okay with that. It's a big one. Okay. Yes. Okay. So number three, this is a big one for me too. And for my clients as well. It's something that we're working on. And that is releasing the outcome of anything in business. So we have a tendency, I think, to take things personally as women and just kind-hearted people. Like, I know anybody in the space or anybody that's watching has a beautifully kind heart. And I think that because of that, we take things personally. And when we step into business, it's like, I tell my clients, I'm like, okay, no. Like, we're going to leave that at the door. We're not taking anything personally. It's like literally nothing about making a sale, nothing about your revenue or your income, nothing about how many followers you have. None of that means anything about you. And how do we detach from that outcome, right? Because it's a very different energy of coming into a space and feeling like, I really, really need this. I need this so bad. This is do or die, versus that energy of like, oh, let me just see what happens. Like, let's check this out and see what opportunities arise from this. Let's just see.
Yeah, I love that. That reminds me of one of my key coaching conversations that I had with my coach. We were going through, the sales conversation, because that's, again, something I'm not that comfortable with. And I was outlining all the reasons why someone should be working with me and how I would say that. And in a very nice way, or like a coachy way, she said, don't make it about you. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's about that client who you're serving. Release all that stuff that you're bringing on these calls about you, how well you're selling or how well you're performing your services or whatever it is. It's not about you. And that really helped me. I felt that was like, true. I want to serve my client. I'm here to serve.
Yes.
I don't have to I don't have to worry about me. I have to worry about them. Like, what do they need? What can I bring to them? And I felt that was a powerful shift for me. And that is my constant reminder when that nervousness creeps in. I'm like, oh, this is an important conversation. I want to look good. Hold on.
Yeah.
Don't make it about
Don't make it about you. That is so good. And I feel you on the sales part of this too, because most of us, I mean, I know you and I, like you said, we kind of we didn't stumble on the business, but we started the business, but didn't really know like what we were doing, but knew like, we'll figure it out. Like, we'll get it. I'll figure this out. And sales for me was so foreign. Like I did not know how to sell anything. I didn't know like how to talk about my value or talk about any of that stuff. And so I remember having a conversation with my coach as well. And it was the same thing. I would just get so nervous before sales calls, so like attached to the outcome. Like if I didn't close this sale or if I didn't get this client, it made me a bad person. It made me a bad coach. It made me think that I was never going to get a client. Nobody was ever going to, pay me to work with me. Like all those things that your brain is going to talk you into thinking are true when they're not true. But she kind of said the same thing. She's like, it's not about you. It's about just like, what if you walked into this just seeing what the opportunity is and building a relationship? And now the only thing that I care about when I get on a sales call, and I actually enjoy sales calls now because I look at that as an opportunity to connect with someone, and not about anything else. Like I have the opportunity in this, whatever, 15, 20, 30 minutes to change this person's day and to make them allow them to feel heard and give them space to feel validated and seen. And how many times do we have that? And even if it doesn't result in a sale, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad coach. It doesn't mean I'm a bad business owner. It doesn't mean that it means nothing. So detaching from the outcome and making it about your people versus about you. And that even goes kind of with number 2 also, right? Like instead of showing up and being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to look so funny, I'm not going to say something right. It's really about how can I help this person? Even if it's one person on the other side of this, how can I change this person's day? How can I impact this person in a way that they walk away feeling just a little bit better than they did when they started?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And there was something that you said in your little description of your third mindset that resonated with me, because before we got on the call, I was like, what would be my top 3 mindset shifts? And one of them was this whole clinging on to the like die or make it happen. This whole like, I remember in the early days, especially when things didn't work so well, like, when I got to a point, I was like, this is harder than I thought.
Wow.
And I realized I had a lot of scarcity about time, because I was a young mom with 2 children. And COVID was still making the world go crazy. Then scarcity about money, because I had none. And I was like, oh, I have to make these calls, these sales, like I have to convert these calls into something, or I have to launch this program, product, service, and it has to make X amount of money. And if not, like, and this energy of like,
it feels why it feels like
it. Exactly. And which is why I didn't make the sales that I was hoping for. And my products and services didn't go as well as I was hoping for. And I mean, I think we spoke about this on our very first conversation or something. And I got to a point not that long ago where I was about to close everything down because it really wasn't working. And I kind of was like, I don't want to go back to a job, but this is not working. And I literally just released everything. I was like, whatever happens, happens. Not attached to the outcome. I came back and suddenly business was flowing. And I was like, what am I doing different now? But between that moment of like, everything is shit to come back, I had worked a lot on my mindset in terms of money and time and my own powers.
Yeah.
I came back in a different way.
That is so good. Yes. And what I hear in that too, and we can add that as number 4. So number 4 is shifting into an abundance mindset, right? There's plenty of time. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of clients. There's plenty of everything. Just like there's plenty of sunshine. Like if I go outside and get sun, it's not taking away from you getting sun, there's so much there. And isn't that how that happens? You hear that happening too with people who are, like couples who are trying to conceive a baby, and they try and try and try, and then the minute that they just kind of release it and go, and then it happens.
That happened with my second child, actually.
Yeah, or when
fine, it's okay. I want to do. It's not. I'm having only one, and when I got pregnant, had a second one. It's like exactly that. Like when you're clinging on. we're white knuckling through that. Like, it just doesn't work. And it's hard because obviously there are, there are real reasons why we need money. We need to feed our families. There are real time constraints as a young mom trying to make a business work and all of that. But when we hold on to this energy so badly, that's when it's difficult, because that's when we're attracting the same energy. We're attracting, like, I mean, you might know that as well, in terms of like, then you end up with these weird clients, like these, like, I don't want to say bad clients, but like you're attracting someone who hasn't got money and someone who hasn't got time, and all of, like, this is just crazy. And this is funny because I never was that kind of person who would believe these kind of things, because I was used to be very head and science, facts. But I totally now believe in this whole energy piece and the abundance, to change your mindset about the scarcity of time and money and all of resources that you have into something more positive. Not to say that I always think like, life is roses and everything is going to be easy and fun.
Absolutely not. I think that's so true. And I think I was probably the same way, but I quickly, you realize that what's happening is your reality is essentially a reflection of your thoughts, right?
Yes.
So if you're thinking like, oh, nobody's ever going to pay me for this, then that's the kind of people that you're going to feel like you need to really work to get those people in there. But if you believe something different, if you believe there's plenty of clients out there and your dream clients are there and they're waiting for you, it's such a different energy, and it's a way to attract that success and those things that you're looking for. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work digging into this piece. But the cool thing is we get to choose. Like, we get to decide, I'm going to pay attention to my thoughts today. I'm going to pay attention to where I'm feeling kind of low, and I'm going to look at the thought and decide, like, is that thought true? Yeah. And I'm going to decide if I want to continue with that thought, because my thoughts essentially produce the action, right? I'm either going to do something or I'm going to do nothing, and the way that I do it is based on that thought and the emotion that comes with the thought. So then we essentially can change our results by changing our thoughts. So this is why this whole thing is so cool.
Exactly. I love that. And I was just thinking maybe we can switch gear a little bit into connecting the peaceful productivity part back into the mindset as well. I mean, we kind of touched on it a bit with the scarcity around time and how we can maybe look at it in a different way, that there is plenty of time. We just need to fill it with the right things, in my opinion. But maybe you have some other mindset shifts that you want to offer to someone who feels like overwhelmed with to-dos and busyness and that kind of thing.
Yes. Okay. So this is a big mindset shift. And I think that this comes with a lot of women that I work with in my space too. They come to me and they're very, very, like, I don't want to say, well, I guess they're kind of like overachievers. Like, they're used to achieving a lot of things and doing a lot of things and being really good at a lot of things. And they're not going to do something unless they're perfect at it, right? So the shift here, I think, as far as productivity, is understanding like where your value comes from. Like, are you tying your value to that productivity? And if you are, why? What is it in you that's making you feel like if you don't produce more, that it's not going to produce the result that you're desiring? Because it is.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, this is a big one. Definitely. It's all that, if I'm not, I have this a lot, and I think we spoke about it on the podcast. If I'm not keeping my deadlines and achieving the goals that I've set for myself, then I'm failing. And that obviously doesn't mean anything good about me. And the whole story of, like, I think we said that, like, rest is for the weak. I have that from childhood, from a dad who works really, really hard. And he's like, you can sleep when you're dead. Well, nice one.
I had a client just this morning. We were kind of going through a talk about this kind of same but similar. But she said, well, if I'm not doing things, like if I'm not moving, then I'm perceived as lazy. And I was like, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with being lazy? Like, there's really nothing wrong with it. Oh, I was going to say something and then I forgot. I do this every time I talk to you. I think of something and then it goes away. It'll come back. But yeah, it's like, how are you defining your value and how can you begin to rewrite that? Oh, I know what it was. So typically it came back to me. It always does. Like we talk about, you were just talking about with like, oh, I need to be doing, and like keeping up with deadlines and all the things that need to get done. And I hear that. I get it. Like I'm a mom too. I'm running a business. We're all juggling a lot of things. But sometimes I'll sit with my clients and, it's the whole thing of like, well, I got this and I have this and I have this and this and that. And it's this exhaustion, right? And so we sit down and I go, write down everything right now that you think like needs to get done. Like everything that is hovering in that black cloud that's like following you around, write it down. I'm like, what of these things are actually, number one, aligned with your core values? And number two, is it actually an emergency? Like, do you have to do that thing today or right now? And 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh no, that could wait until next week. But we have this idea that if we can check everything off the list, then,
yes.
Yeah, I think I told you this before. My idea was like, oh, if I can check everything off the list, then I'll have time to relax. And that literally never happened because the list it's like laundry. Like there's more and more, always more, always more. So
you just finished and another sock appears around the corner. It's just like that.
That's just how it is. And it's being okay with that. Like it doesn't bother me when there's laundry in the basket. So now it doesn't bother me when there's stuff on my to-do list. I'm like, well, I just didn't get to that today. I'll move it to tomorrow. It's not an emergency. It's fine. It doesn't make me a bad mom. It doesn't make me a bad business owner. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's fine. I'm going to go relax.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. I mean, this is exactly what I do with my clients as well, to really look at what's there in your day, what's really bringing value, what is just there because you think it should be there, or it has been there forever, and that's just why we do it without really thinking about it. And what are the things that we can get rid of? I mean, there's so many like reminders that I constantly push to next week. And then after doing that 2-3 times, I'm like, hold on. I kind of snoozed that one, last week. No, delete. Because if I haven't done it until now, it's not important. And if it's coming, like if it really needs to get done at some point, it will come back by itself, sort of thing. So yeah, no, it needs to be aligned exactly with where we want to go.
And the deeper question too, I think, is just that like, why is it that you feel that way? Like, why do you have this urge to like? Because once we can identify that and then kind of start to pick it apart and be like, yeah, maybe that worked for you in your childhood, or maybe that worked for you in this season of your life, and maybe that was a good thing to have then, but now is it serving you? And if it's not serving you, then let's start to rewrite that and let's start to change it. Let's start to shake things up a little.
Exactly. Bring in new beliefs and new mindsets that are just working much better.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that.
Okay, so we ended up with 5. We have 5.
Yeah. Change the title. 5 mindset shifts.
This is so good. So to recap, so we have when it feels like it's not working, find evidence of where it is actually working, and just trust the process and trust that that garden is going to be beautiful, and that legacy that you're going to leave is going to grow. Number 2 was moving it from an energy of like just being who you are and showing up versus having to audition or change who you are. Number 3 is being able to release the outcome of anything in business and really in life, because we can't control really anything. We think we can, but we really can't, can we?
So true.
Yeah. Number 4 is see abundance all around and believe in abundance. And number 5 is that your value is not tied to your productivity.
Love them. I think these are really 5 incredible ones that we put together. Love it. Incredible.
I love this. Thank you so much for having me.
It was a huge pleasure. Share with everyone if they want to find out more about you. Where is the best place to find you? I know Instagram, you are there quite often, and you have your podcast. So yeah, share with everyone.
I mostly hang out on Instagram. I'm an Instagram girl. All the links and everything that you would need are there. So I'm at Hello Sandy Patterson on Instagram. I have a podcast too. The podcast is titled Beyond the Classroom with Sandy Patterson. It's going to get a little revamp though. in the next
Mhm.
month or two. So, but it's there. Everything you need is on Instagram. Yeah. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And I'm taking on
Thanks so much.
clients. So yeah, I love to work with. I love working with women who are in these like who are working through these things. Like it's always, like I said, about the strategy, but it's also so much more about the mindset piece. And it's such an honor to be able to support women and move women through these things because, again, like you're not alone. Like this is not unique to you. And let's figure this out and let's get you moving.
And I love that you do the two things together, because I do believe strategy, especially in the beginning, is very important so that you know where you're headed.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
without the mindset piece, it's just really, really hard
Mm-hmm.
to get the success that we're looking for, because we all carry some baggage with us from whatever phase in our life, and it holds us back so easily and without even realizing. I think this is the hard bit about the mindset, that is just we don't even understand why are we not getting to where we want to go, because there is something there that that needs to have a little look at and a little compassion and then tender breaking it up. And I love that you help women with that, because it's so needed. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, it's my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me, Anne. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I know I'm going to walk away and just feel so good. I'm like, yay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I love that. All right, Wendy, thank you so much. And then until next time, I guess. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye, Anne.
Bye. Thank you. Take care.